Hey YouTube, it's Chris. Welcome back to the video series. Today we're going to talk about the phone call that changed my life. It happened about 17 years before I was born. Illustrating what I said earlier in the intro, it's not just names and dates, it's what happened and what happened as a result. And there are things that happen before you're born that have great impact on your life. That is why history is such a fascinating subject. So, another thing I mentioned in one of the earlier videos, and if you haven't watched the earlier videos, go back and watch them. This is a series. We build on each other. But anyway, a lot of different things had to come together for this phone call to be so ruinous. It could have come in September, but it didn't. And it probably wouldn't have, to be fair. But it certainly could have come in October, November, December, early January. Nope. Came during the winter layup, which, as we remember from previous videos, would be the 2 months out of the entire year that the boats aren't on the water. So Ken was home, and Ken answered the phone. It was the New Buffalo Area Public Schools. We're going to have to hold Ronnie back in kindergarten if he doesn't start getting to class. What the hell are you talking about? Well, he's missed so much time already this year. What? So, as I mentioned before, Edna and Carol were bored with the guys on the water 10 months out of the year, so they just went to Milwaukee to be with their family. That's why Ronnie was born in Milwaukee, and they kept going for 5 years after that. So this is what happened as a result of that one phone call. Ken was pissed, clearly, and he never went back on the water. He retired early from the boats. He stayed home to make sure his kid got to school, but also to put a frequent end to the trips to Milwaukee. An end to the frequent trips to Milwaukee. I'm not going to go back and do it again. Just live with it. Now, retiring early from the boats meant that Ken never made chief engineer, the prestige he so desperately craved, and he resented his family for the rest of his life. That's an important point. That's the environment in which my father grew up, a resentful father. He ended up getting a job at the Northern Indiana Public Service Company, or NIPSCO, which may or may not make another appearance in this video series as we move on. He hated the job, so he came home pissed off all the time, like a lot of people do. But because of all this, my father grew up hating his parents. They were drunks, they were narcissists, and certainly he could pick up on the resentment. So he did everything he could to stay away from them. He didn't go AWOL or anything, but he spent a lot of time in the other house. Remember, 2 houses on the same property. Keep that in mind, because it's going to come back to bite us in the ass a couple times. With his grandmother. And as he got older, he started doing extracurricular things. So he had a reason to escape. He got involved in scouting. Now, that didn't actually work out too well because Ken figured it would be good for his reputation to be in scouting as well. So he was part of that. But then as his dad got older, he took up music, joined the school band, learned how to play a trumpet, learned how to read music. If for no other reason, it gave him an excuse to go to the basement for an hour a day and be away from his parents so he could practice. And then as he got older, he started playing football. He wanted to play football so badly that when his worthless mother refused to drive him to practice, he just walked to school. And Grand Beach is not right next door to New Buffalo. It's kind of a hike. So all of this happened as a result of that phone call. And in my life, what we're going to hear later on in the video, once I finally get born, scouting, band, and football all had a huge role in my life. Things that happened before I was born, before I was even a possibility. I mean, Dad joined Cub Scouts before he hit puberty, and I know that's gross, but what's grosser, that or thinking about swimming around in your dad's goodies? Biology is a gross subject. That's the way it is. And that's the end of this video. I think in the next video, we may or may not focus on my bastard grandfather, whom I love, but he was a real bastard. Thank you very much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, and as always, take care of yourselves, YouTube.